Hey, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Future of Medicine podcast. I am your host, Dr. Aaron Wenzel, joined, as always, with the lovely and talented Jen Justice.
Hey, Doc.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm super good.
Good.
It's been a good summer so far.
Yep.
Just got back from the beach.
You're so lucky.
I know.
I'm about to go.
Get excited. This episode is about weight loss. This is going to be our 2023 update on what still is a top 1, 2, or 3 conversation that we have with all of our members.
Oh, yeah.
Probably we will look back on our career and this will be the most talked about topic all time.
Mm-hmm.
And it probably should be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's especially when you move weight loss beyond just vanity metrics, but more in obesogenic metabolic disease, fueling the flames of diabetes, heart disease, cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So we feel like it's worth giving our thoughts on this so important topic once a year. And so I think we start this by saying not much has changed in our world.
Right.
You know, we kind of, if anything has changed, I would say that our conviction is deeper and our thinking is clearer on this topic. Wouldn't you say that?
Yeah. When I look back at our journey through the science and the truth, I guess is the word I would use, because there's a lot of mistruth out there about weight loss, nutrition, exercise, how they all relate. I think the biggest thing that you and I have come to realize and adopt in our practice and with our members is the idea that eating less and exercising more is really not the answer. And it's the standard answer that's given in a lot of quote unquote traditional primary care practices, because that's all they know really how to do and all the advice they know how to give. It doesn't work for everybody. And this is more, as you and I have come to realize in doing the research, is it's a biochemistry issue, you know?
No question.
Insulin comes into play, blood sugar comes into play. And as we've talked about on other podcasts before, it's not really, it is what you eat, but it's also when is more important. So I love that we look at this from, we're constantly kind of reevaluating the science behind this.
Yeah, I think so much of the word diet conjures, for me, a religiosity.
Yeah. It's very indoctrinated.
Yeah, it's like, this is my religion. And I just feel like as we have navigated this together as professional partners, probably a decade on this topic, there's this settling and peace and clarity that has come over. And as we've further and further stripped away the religion around diet and really got into what does the science say, and it's in stark contrast really to the universal advice for weight loss, which is eat less, exercise more.
Yeah.
To be clear, most people who need to lose significant amount of weight and maintain it long term will eat less and exercise more, but that can't be the advice as it's that simple. It implies, or actually it is rooted in this idea that all calories are created equal, which it's not for this conversation. We've done plenty of talks on nutritional biochemistry, but look, that implies that this is a math problem. It's just calories in, calories out, and that's just nutritional heresy.
Yeah.
It's nonsensical. There is math involved in this equation, but this is a biochemistry problem. This is a neurohormonal. Yes, calories are in that equation, and calories do matter, but they are not the grail.
Right.
They are not the North Star. They are not the focal point. They may and often are a lever that you pull on, but this is far more, you want to break the shackles of struggles with weight, you optimize your hormones. This is a hormonal problem, namely insulin resistance, which fuels the fat cell to want to grow. When I remember one time somebody asked me, like, hey, doc, do you have a diet? And I'm like, well, of course I do. Like a giraffe has a diet. Like everybody has a diet. But I don't diet. I eat to support a lifestyle that is optimal for me. And again, from a totally non-religious standpoint, I eat in a way that is aligned with my goals. And for you and I, as we have just explored this concept, we have landed firmly on this concept of a fasted lifestyle. And for all of documented human history, for all of humandom, prior to 1900 for sure, you didn't have to have this conversation. Because less than 5% of the world was overweight or obese. Matter of fact, the only people who were the highly affluent, the royalty. This is only a 1900s problem, and it really became a problem in 1950 with mass agriculture hitting scale. And getting people obsessed about calorie counting is a really, really great way to sell boxed carbohydrates that are low calorie.
Right.
Meanwhile, fueling the flames of obesity and metabolic disease. And we're still, to this day, preaching from the pulpit of calories. And it saddens me.
Yeah.
But what we believe is that what you eat is absolutely mission critical. You know, the source of your calories, the types of calories that you're eating, where are you sourcing these things? But the thing that we have been firmly on now for a while is that when you eat, we believe is more important than what you eat. Not by like a landslide, but like in pecking order. There's been a shift at the top.
Yeah.
We just believe that the more time you can spend in a 24-hour window not consuming any calories, the better off you will be in your health journey. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah, 100%. And I think when we meet with our members and we teach them this way, it is difficult in the beginning until they get adapted to that. But you and I both know, having done this and adopted it now, it becomes easier over time. You see results quickly, you gain momentum. You want to just keep doing the thing that produced the results, and it's just worth it, and you feel better. The end result is awesome.
Yeah, we've been able to document pretty clearly predictable second and third order consequences from a fasted lifestyle, like decision fatigue, like demystify. Like there's all of these things that are extra benefits. But in terms of weight loss, which this is really the focus point of this piece of content, it really should be the underpinning of any strategic approach to a life of a controlled weight, a healthy relationship with food. It should start with not what, because there's too much religion around what, but get very clear on when is the best time for you to eat. And for most people, a 12 to 18 hour everyday window makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
And some people, 12 is all they need, 12 is all they can tolerate. But that's a huge shift from, grabbing a snack at 11 before you go to bed and up at 5 stuffing your face and eating all through the day and snacking. And it covers the multitude of sins when you stop consuming a lot of calories.
Yeah.
By not eating that often. So I think the main take-home point here is that weight loss still matters. It is probably, arguably, the most common conversation we have. So our time in residence in this topic is really countless hours, countless thousands of conversations. We believe it matters. And we believe that the single greatest move most people could make is adopting a fasted lifestyle and figuring out what that means for them as a unique individual.
Yes.
Right?
100%.
Cool. The second topic here, which we have created individually tons of content around, are the two most underrated influencers of the weight journey, and that is sleep and alcohol. Jen, talk to me about sleep.
Well, I think, as you and I have talked before, I'm a champion sleeper. Love it.
All-time best.
Big fan. I do track my sleep, so I have.
I don't know why. It's always near 100.
I know. I have an Oura ring, and then I recently got a Whoop, so I really like both of those. And they match really consistently for me, which is good. But
So better than 90 every night.
yeah,
I've gotten 0 90 scores.
I'm sorry. But people really underestimate the effect of sleep on weight loss. And, as you've mentioned, we've done content on this before, but recovery, I used to look at recovery as like, oh, you're just taking a day off from the gym. You're resting your muscles. You're doing some active things like walking, and that's considered quote unquote recovery. But really, the main component of recovery is sleep, and
No question.
allowing your body to have that rest period to regenerate. And there's a couple things that really, from a weight loss perspective, when it comes to sleep, can negatively impact that. And one of them is eating too close to bedtime.
Yep.
I really try to, my husband and I eat fairly early for supper. We're usually done by 6:30, but then the food gets cut off. And if I do happen to be, like, let's say we go out to dinner on date night, we eat a little later than usual, my sleep scores will be different. And it affects my resting heart rate, and it affects my heart rate variability on my tracker. So, those type of things. And then obviously if you don't get enough sleep, you're in this chronic state of fatigue. How many times do we meet with members who are sleeping 4 or 5 hours a night and they think that's enough?
It's actually rare to find someone who's like, oh yeah, no, doc, of all the things I want to work on, I got sleep covered.
Yeah.
That's
they don't.
I don't know that I've ever had that told to me.
Yeah.
Maybe I have 1 or 2 times.
Yeah. And we see it in their blood work. So a lot of times we'll detect underlying insulin resistance. We'll see elevated insulin levels, elevated hemoglobin A1Cs, triglycerides, all the things that point us to their body is in this like constant stress level, response. And it's really hard to mobilize fat and lose weight when you don't get enough sleep.
No, some science recently, and I'll try to link to this study in the show notes, but there was, I don't know, it's probably 10 years now, there was a study that came out where they looked at first-year surgical interns. So these are pretty healthy 20-somethings who go into their surgical intern year, which is the first year of residency, and when they're on the surgical ward for a 30-day rotation, they did their blood work before and after the 30 days, and it was stunning what they found, that just 30 days of sleep deprivation, these are documented, for those that are just listening and not watching, I'm air quoting, documented 80-hour work limits. I mean, anybody who's been through a surgical residency will tell you, I mean, they may only report 80 hours, but like, let's be clear. Yeah. It was 100 plus. That's a boatload of work. And not a lot of sleep. High stress, no sleep, no recovery. The amount of those young men and women who became documentably, verifiably insulin resistant was unbelievable.
Wow.
So that's just 30 days. When we start talking about decades of high output, high stress, very under-recovered over time, and within 30 days you're already insulin resistant, the connection between sleep deprivation and metabolic disease is clear. We do talk a lot about sleep. We've just finished a series about, how to move, how to recover, and how to feed your body, that all meaningful progress in one's health journey typically falls in one of those 3 buckets. So don't sleep on sleep for a number of reasons, but the weight journey, it's probably not enough to unlock you if there are other things.
It's an important variable.
It is a big red X on the map that says dig here if you struggle with the weight journey. Yeah. The second is alcohol. I have created so much content around this, and it's a deep conviction for me, because I think it is underestimated in some ways. It is paid attention to in other ways, but as I dig into that, it's for the wrong reasons. It tends to be purely, oh yeah, no, I get it, doc, empty calories. Yeah. No, again, calories, they matter, but that's not the big reason. The big reason is that alcohol is a toxin. Alcohol gets processed by the liver, and the liver is your metabolic fat, sugar engine. I mean, it is constantly making sugar, processing triglycerides, processing, dumping, recycling cholesterol. It is the epicenter of the kind of the metabolic engine. And when alcohol's on board, all of that shuts down. And it diverts all of its machinery to prioritize eliminating the toxin through the liver. And it leaves your lipid profile and sugar metabolism to just kind of go, whew.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And so, and it takes hours and hours and hours and hours to process an ounce of alcohol. And so if you're doing that and not eating, anyway, it's in the background. If you struggle with weight, or you have an objective to improve or optimize your weight journey, and you consume any alcohol other than a couple of drinks a year, I mean, if you're not that person, you're either, I don't drink, or I rarely drink. Okay, maybe this conversation isn't for you. You can check that box. But if weekly you're consuming some amount of alcohol, it deserves being audited. And we talk about audit your alcohol intake. It's a major player.
I think the other big thing with alcohol is the delivery system. If I partake in alcohol, I am that person that doesn't drink that often, but it's usually in something sweet.
Yes.
Something sugary. There are obviously lower calorie options, but you go out to a Mexican restaurant and have a margarita. That's not.
You don't like margaritas, though.
No, I hate them. And a lot of times we're drinking them close to bedtime, so that impacts your sleep. So it's all connected.
It definitely impacts, and it's seductive in the sense that it helps you relax, and it feels very clear that you're more prepared for sleep, which debatably you are. The problem is falling asleep and staying asleep are different physiology, and it may help land the plane and prep for sleep, but 1, 2, 3 hours after you fall asleep, it is devastating to your deep sleep.
Yeah.
I know for me personally, when I have any alcohol within 2 hours of going to bed, my heart rate variability is like nothing. Like it flatlines. My deep sleep, I have some nights where I'll get in the single digit of minutes in an hour, and in a 8-9 hour.
And how do you feel the next day?
I will tell you transparently, when it happens from time to time, I'm able to rally, and I'm not super impacted, but I also am very aware of it, which then, because I'm looking at real-time data, I also change behaviors and I don't do it again.
Right.
I think where this gets interesting and is underestimated is when you don't have eyes on it, you don't get any feedback, and if you don't get the feedback, you just experience what you experience, and it could be a big blind spot. Which is why we love this kind of dating and reporting. It's a built-in accountability for behavior change.
Yeah.
Oh wow, when I eat, I can change the way I eat, and I sleep better. And you do that without very little energy because you're getting a score.
Yeah.
And you want to do better. So alcohol, definitely because of its effect at the level of the liver. Alcohol, definitely because it tends to live with sugary mixers. And to a lesser degree, it lessens your inhibition, and you're more likely to keep munching on chips and other things because your defense mechanisms are down just a little bit. And then it really impacts deep sleep.
Yeah.
Almost makes it impossible to get.
For sure.
The third section on our 2023 weight loss update is, ironically, we're ending with where most people start. Talk to me about exercise, Jen.
Well, this one, personally, I've really had to change my view on, because I was one of those people that felt like exercise was the place to start from, again, a calorie burning perspective.
Oh, yeah.
And I
That's
think
what you were told to do.
Yeah. And yes, I was told to eat less and exercise more. Okay.
And if all calories are the same and it's just a math problem, get to burning.
Get to burning. But what I've learned from working with you this, past 25 years that we've been work married is that
it's not that long.
8 is
feels that way. I know.
This is multi-layered for me, because the other component of it is, if I did quote unquote eat badly or go off my plan, exercise was the very next thing I did to undo that. And so one of the things you hear and that I've learned from you is you can't outrun your mouth.
No.
And so I now have adopted this active lifestyle within my limitations of my pain and hip issue that I have, to really look at it as, what can I do to stay active that I like to do?
Mm-hmm.
How can I build consistency into my life around physical activity, and really focus more on strength training and building my muscle mass. So those 3 things for me have really helped change my kind of view on exercise.
Not just view, but your relationship with it.
Yeah. It's a really, I've really worked hard this past, year and a half. I've lost 50 pounds. I've, really worked on my relationship with food. Healed that in a way. As best I can.
There's no question you have.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been sitting front row of the whole thing.
Yeah. It's been hard, but it's been worth it.
Yeah, but you do hard things.
Yeah.
And that's something that you've learned about yourself, is that you're not only capable, but you're designed to do hard things.
Yeah.
And that's something that you had to learn about yourself, and I've been able to witness that with you. And it's so amazing to be able to watch your journey. Exercise for me has never been a problem.
You played sports in high school.
I was an athlete.
Yeah.
Like, my safe place was the gym with the guys. Like, under stress, I'd go to the gym. So, so my journey with fitness is totally different. But to watch your journey with fitness, and to keep beating that drum, like that's the way you're going to lose weight, and then you would injure yourself, and then you'd go backwards, and then you go back to your unhealthy relationship with food, which was toxic, and it hurt you. Felt good in the short term, but it was hurting you. To see you completely unwind this thing, distill it down to the things that matter the most, fixing the way you fed yourself. You already had the sleep thing, all-time guru.
Don't drink a lot.
You already don't drink a lot.
Right.
So you have so much going for you, yet weight was one of your primary areas of opportunity for improving of your health, yet it was eluding you. And so much of it was linked to this eat less, exercise more. And it's not that exercise is bad, it's just, it's not the gateway to weight loss.
Right.
What I've witnessed from you is that you now have infused in who you are as Jen Justice. You're someone who works out. And you are getting many needs met at the gym. One of them is a multiplier. And this is where I love fitness for a weight loss journey. It's a multiplier for someone who has already fixed the way they feed themselves. They're already recovering. Turns out when you work out, you recover even better.
Yeah.
Because your physical outlay of energy matches your mental outlay of energy at the end of the day, and you go to sleep like a teenager. And you do. It's helped you, it's multiplied your weight loss. It's allowed you to achieve, I mean, you've shared with me details that like you have achieved things in your journey that have eluded you for multiple decades. And we're not done. We're still going, and it's not coming back, and learning that that's the old me.
Yeah.
It's really been remarkable. So I love fitness for a multiplier of an already effort-filled, strategic, dietary focus, because it multiplies those efforts and helps you. And the beautiful thing is, by the time you achieve your goal or are approaching your goal, you already have the very behaviors in place, namely exercise, that is the all-time best defense.
Yeah.
It's not a great offensive strategy.
No.
It's fantastic defense.
Yeah. And I think for me, and we everybody knows that's a avid listener of the podcast that we share our fitness data on our Apple Watches, which still makes me crack up. But, on Sunday when Aaron Wenzel is running and I wanted to take a day off, and I'm like, crap, now I've got to go to the gym because he's working out. It's,
which is unnecessary.
No days off, all gas, no breaks. Here we go.
Yeah.
And even if I just show up and do a little walk, I showed up. It's been a really fun ride, and I found my person that helps me. Love him to death. He pushes me even when I don't want to be pushed. We're constantly leveling up.
You're talking about your trainer.
Mm-hmm. But we're also, he knows when to back off if I'm in pain or I need a lighter day, but always looking for ways to challenge me to build my confidence, and that's what I really love too.
No, your story inspires me, and I know it inspires many. You're a really special person, and this is a really, it's a special journey that you've been on, especially on this topic. I mean, that's what we're talking about, is the weight journey. And then, this is one thing that eluded you when I first met you. And you've been systematically chiseling away and architecting how you're going to play the back half.
Yeah. It's going to be the best half.
Second half, Jen, is I cannot wait.
Well, and for you too, I've noticed, you used to lift a lot more than you do now. And I think you have found a really healthy rhythm with your exercise routine of something you can do every single day.
Yep.
That's manageable for you, that relieves your stress, that gets you outside. I mean, there's lots of benefits to the exercise plan that you have for yourself.
Yeah, I do. And we've talked about different types of recovery. I rarely take a passive recovery day, like sitting on the couch. I do a lot of active recovery. So even on days where I'm not trained, I know you know. There are benefits far beyond my fitness plan. I actually don't have any current fitness objectives. I don't know what my next goal is. It's far more performance driven as opposed to vanity metrics, as I always call it. I don't have a body fat percentage I'm going for, or I'm looking more for performance metrics, speed, explosiveness, those kind of things intrigue me, the inner athlete in me. Even as I approach 50 and I have young boys, I'm I want to go run hundreds. I want to do broad jumps, and I want to do pull-ups, and I want to do how fast can we get a 2 mile down, or a 200 split. I want to do all of these things because they're challenging and unique, and they're also fun, and I can build a relationship around it too.
But I think our members are surprised, when they come in for their annual physicals and they haven't seen you in a while. And they're like, Aaron, what are you doing? You're in the gym, you're working out 6 days a week. You're like, no, 2. Yeah. Lifting 2, running the rest.
I'm doing exactly what I tell you all to do.
Yeah. Don't overthink it.
I'm a practitioner I'm a chef who eats my cooking. Yeah. And I certainly don't have the market cornered on truth or perfection. It's a journey. I'm trying to figure it out. I have a family. I have a business. I also have my own health I have to navigate, and I'm trying to figure that out myself. And I love being able to do things like this and share my wins, my losses. Here's what's working. Here's what works for other people. I really love being able to share your wins and your losses, because I think it matters. I think people need to know they're not alone. I think people need to know that it's not calories in, calories out, and eat less and exercise more. And I think
people need to hear as well that you can enjoy this journey. That's one of the biggest lessons for me. Is it was always torturous before. Always I've had a good day or a bad day, or I got to get back on track. And it was, to me now, my health journey is really understanding that it needs constant focus. It needs constant attention. One of my family members asked if I was going to work out on vacation when we go in a couple weeks. And I said, yeah. And she said, well, every time I go on vacation, I have the best intentions and I never work out. And I said, well, we went on a cruise in September. I worked out every day. It was great. I had the gym to myself. I was overlooking the ocean. It was awesome. And she said, but you're so motivated. I said, no. I'm consistent. I said, there's a big difference. Oh, yeah. And it's hard. But, just enjoying it now for me and adopting it as this is who I am is really been a huge revelation.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
And
I'm not done by all means. My goodness. I don't think you're ever done.
No. Well, that's what life is rarely about the goal.
This is the infinite game.
It really is.
Health is the infinite game.
It's about who we become along the way, using our goals and milestones as the horizon to guide our decision making.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, like, caring about your health never ends.
Yeah. No.
Caring about your spouse never ends. Caring about your children.
Mm-hmm.
Like, these are infinite concepts, not finite.
Mm-hmm.
They end when you end.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you don't ever arrive. That's the punchline.
Mm-hmm.
No one ever arrives. It's about who are you becoming along the way? Who are you touching? Who are you helping? And separating that from this weird, dogmatic, religious, toxic struggle with how I can't lose weight.
Yeah.
It's so freeing.
Mm-hmm.
And you are experiencing the freedom that comes from being a disciplined, consistent person.
Mm-hmm.
And that creates the motivation.
Yeah.
But the motivation is a lagging finding.
Yes.
It comes as it's the breeze that comes after the jet has blown by,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's a consequence of what you've already put into motion. It's not the thing that gets you in motion.
Right.
Motivation is a pep rally. It's fleeting. It's coming down from church camp. It's a couple of days of woo, and then it's like back in the rut.
Mm-hmm.
If you see anyone in life who's consistently enjoying the rewards from doing hard work, the consistency isn't what got them there.
Right.
It's the discipline and the commitment to doing the hard things every day when
Yep.
no one's looking. And it gets easier later because you get to enjoy. It's like a flywheel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know,
It compounds.
compounds. Another great episode, a really important topic. Thank you for being so willing to share your story.
Yeah. Thank you for being my biggest cheerleader. I'm so grateful for you.
Yeah, feel the same. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.